Welcome to the Real Estate and Wealth Podcast, your go-to resource for navigating the world of real estate investing and wealth creation. This podcast is brought to you by Calvert Home Mortgage Investment Corporation, your trusted, caring, and responsive short-term mortgage lender in Alberta and Ontario. We explore strategic and tactical solutions to elevate your real estate portfolio, drawing insights from seasoned Canadian investors and trusted advisors. In each episode, we dive into various aspects of real estate investing, including market trends, property analysis, financing strategies, risk management, and much more. Whether you're a seasoned real estate investor looking to expand your portfolio or a beginner taking those first steps, this podcast is for you. So today on the podcast, we have Valerie and Jennifer from VIP Realty and Management.
Yeah.
Super excited to learn more about, obviously, property management, tactical tips for real estate investors. Before we get into your business, we'd love to learn a little bit more about both of you.
Okay. I've been doing real estate since 2005. I started off as a legal assistant, and then I started seeing the commission checks come through, and then I decided, I'm on the wrong side of this desk. So then I got into sales. I started off at Remax, was there for a few years, went to another company, and then I started getting into property management about 16 years ago. Jennifer and I worked together in 2014. So, yeah. Jen was doing condo management. I was doing sales and residential management. So Jen was actually one of my clients. And then we both kind of left one our separate ways for a while. And then I decided to open up VIP. And yeah, it's been hitting the ground running ever since. So that was about 7 years ago now. Yeah, this October will be 7 years. So yeah, now we have 700 properties, about 9 buildings, and Jen does the condo side of it. So she's working with me now too. And yeah, it's busy, hectic.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Lots of running around all the time.
Yeah, for sure. What about yourself, Jen?
So I started actually on the condo side of things. And then, like Val said, we met at a previous company that we worked at. And then I actually, during COVID, took a break from the industry. I was like, let me rethink my life here. And went and got licensed for sales. So then I came back and was doing sales. And Val was like, hey, you want to come over here to property management? So I was like, okay, fine, sure. So that's been a completely different experience. And then we opened up the condo side as well. So we're building that up and getting that going. So busy times.
Yeah, very busy.
Amazing. So what sparked the transition to go from sales to property management?
I think just the market. Like when I started, we were still faxing things and we still had our maps. And not that I want to age myself too much, but that's how it was. And then I thought with the internet and everything going on, I'm like, are people going to use realtors? Like, you're going to really pay me 10, 12, 15 grand to sell your house?
Yeah.
With now you can advertise online. It's not just like a FSRAO for sale by owner sign out front. So I started getting into property management for the residual. And then, yeah, here we are now with word on the street is call us at VIP. So it's good. It's
a
busy.
Good word on the street.
Yeah, it's good. It's busy. But that was kind of the background. I have the residual.
Awesome.
Fear of what was going to happen with everything going on with the internet and stuff like that, right? So yeah.
So you decided to get into this.
Yeah.
How did you find your first 5-10 customers? I'm always curious to hear how people get started out, and gaining traction is always so difficult. Right?
So I started VIP. I just did it in my basement office for the first year, trying to get everything going. I was doing real estate sales for a while, and I was already doing property management for about 5 years. So I did have people already kind of knew me, and then it just kind of spiraled, and it just kept going and going and going. And then every year it just keeps kind of doubling my portfolio, or VIP's portfolio. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit tough, but yeah, you just got to go out, network. That's all I could say is network, and hand out cards. And eventually you plant seeds everywhere, and then they start growing. So now we got to full force.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that you had to leave from your space and you're like, okay, I have to grow this to more than just me?
I did rent one office, for probably about 2 years. And then we got bigger space, and we just kept getting kind of bigger and need a little bit more space. Now I bought an office just down around the corner, and we're running out of space now. So probably have to, in the next little bit, work on something too. So, it's 1,300 square feet, but we work still quite a bit remotely, and the property managers are running around in the sales and stuff too. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to need more space soon. So probably North Office, I think. Upcoming year, possibly. Jennifer lives in the north, so that's why I'm looking at her. I live in the south. She lives in the north, so it's perfect, right?
Start popping up everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we just opened up in Edmonton, so we got a brokerage out there. So we're just doing a virtual office, but going to be opening up an office probably there soon too, and hiring a property manager and doing sales. A lot of my clients are sending me out there to do sales right now, so I keep getting stuck in Red Deer or Pinoca because there's snowstorms and the roads closed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, get another hotel, I guess. But other than the roads in the winter, it's not too bad, right? Not too bad of a drive. It's definitely, the market's about 36% less than Calgary, and the rental rate's probably only about 15. So when you look at it from a sales to a rental and then your ROI, your return on investment, it's balanced out to be quite well. So
yeah, I have a property in Red Deer, and it's wild to see
yeah,
rents relative to purchase price. Like it's,
yeah.
I don't know why more people don't invest there.
Oh, it's like 2 or 3 calls I'm getting a week. I'm like, hey, back to Edmonton. I go back to Edmonton. I go. So
Never ends.
Nice. And how many units will like one property manager manage?
Typically, so it depends how many they want to manage, how active they are in sales. So I have some that are active in sales, some that are active in property management as well. Typically, they usually do around 80, 90.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I think I still do my property management too for my old clients. I think Jen's got 100 and like with the buildings.
I almost have 2, I think.
Yeah, she's got close to 200.
But I also manage a condo complex and then some buildings and then individual ones.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's like, I guess in terms of like the organizational structure, so it's both of you and then property managers obviously under you, and they're just responsible for a certain like geographic location, or what does that kind of look like?
We try to stick to the areas. So Jen does more of the condos side. Like she's going to transition more into doing condos as we're getting them. But we just kind of blew up with the residential, in all honesty. Like in the past 2-3 years, we tripled. Wow. So we went from like 200 to 600 to 700, right? So it's pretty fast. So typically we do have quadrants of the city. That's not written in stone. But we'll have somebody that'll do the northeast quadrant, somebody that'll do the northwest quadrant. And then how it works is it's on a sliding scale. So depending on how much you manage, this is your, if you do 50, you get paid X. If you do 60, you get paid X. Once you get to 70, you get a part-time assistant. Then once you get to 80, 90, you get a full-time assistant. And you definitely need an assistant to manage that kind of properties. Jennifer has a couple, so.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah. A couple is necessary. I'm getting anxiety thinking about managing 90 properties.
Yeah, it's
I have one tenant, and every day he texts me, I'm like in a panic. I'm like, stop talking to me.
Oh, I know, right? That's the biggest thing too. Or they'll message you at midnight, like silly things, and it's like, no, I'm not your friend.
Boundaries, no boundaries.
None.
So do you have any like processes, systems, best practices for how you just deal with the day-to-day, like similar to Kat's point?
So how do you
just manage that?
I mean, we do have a policy, so 24 hours like to get back to clients. I don't know how Val does it, but for me, I try to get most of them going through email, because then there's a thread that we can always refer back to. And then we have a portal that the owners and tenants can access. So that makes it easier for communication, and it kind of just all ends up in one pot that you just pull out of as you go.
So it's almost like a condo building, how you have those apps and you're like, hey, I need this, and then they respond to you at some point.
Similar, yeah. They're pretty similar.
Yeah, like they'll do a maintenance request, and the property manager will get it. It'll hit the services, and then it'll hit their account too. And then we go in and we can send a PO to the vendor from there. And then once it's done, we can close it, right? It's just a tracking system. Same thing with lease renewals, and like a good property management software is key.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing Excel spreadsheets like the good old days and all that stuff, because it'll go sideways.
They're great to start.
Fast. Yeah. And I think preventative maintenance, like we have move-in checklists, we have move-out checklists, so there's no surprises here. This is what you're supposed to do when you move out. Make sure, your fridge or stove's pulled out, your light bulbs are all exchanged, and your furnace filters are out. So when you get there, it's not a disaster, because then, of course, you have typically 24 hours to get it ready for the next tenant, and then that tenant's going to be screaming and yelling at you. So you just gotta, you just have to be prepared and be on the ball. Or else you'll go sideways very fast.
Yeah. For the everyday real estate investor that self-manages, do you have any tips for move-in, move-out inspections of, holding people accountable? Do you do like a whole video walkthrough, or how do you just stay on top of managing?
We have an app that we use. So it goes through everything with kind of a fine-tooth comb. So you take a picture, write your notes down, and then they sign it, and then it gets emailed to the owner, to the tenant, and then to the property manager too. So I know when I first started, we'd handwrite everything, go back to the office, scan it, save it, send it to everybody, that kind of stuff. Typically we don't do videos unless there's some kind of major damage that we need evidence for court, then we will. But typically it's just the pictures, and pictures
just
usually speak
detailed
1,000
pictures,
words,
a
right?
detailed list. And I know,
Yeah.
like, well, in Calgary, Rent Faster has like a
Yeah.
checkout list or move in,
Yeah.
move out list that you can use. But I think you do have to be careful with like what, because I know some people in the past have just like checked off the category. So if it's good, they would just put a check. And I actually had to go to court one time and they were like, no, it doesn't say whether it was okay or not. So it's being specific, like the condition was good, the condition was dirty, it needed repair.
Mhm.
Like noting the condition of it, and then same when you're moving out, because otherwise a check mark means nothing.
Yeah, and what's okay to you might not be okay to me. So
Right, exactly.
And it depends on the judge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So some stuff's in the act, but then it's always like any other court, it's like rolling the dice, right?
Mhm.
So,
Is there any story of why VIP Realty or how
um,
that name came to be?
I came up with it actually golfing with the Residential Rental Association. We were the guys that are from Onside. Used to be a football player too. I guess it doesn't matter.
I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. So we were all out, and I was like, Rock Realty, like just kind of going through all the different names. And then I thought, oh, VIP, but I'm like, yeah, it's got to be taken, right? Like that's such a common name, VIP Realty. So there's some in the States. When I did a nuance, right, like a federal or a provincial name search, and sure enough, it was available. I was shocked. So I just kind of had a few different ones. I'm like, we'll see which ones are available. And then it just kind of progressed from there. Our logo is obviously it's the city of Calgary. And then we kind of got like a crown, and then we have the wheat on the side to represent like Alberta.
Wheat, not weed.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like those are our cards. So you can see at the back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see them there or not. But
You do have a lot of really good reviews online. I've seen competitors that I know property management have that level of service.
It's really hard because you get one bad tenant. And
Exactly.
of course, you know what I mean? You can't have 5 stars all the way across the board. But for property management, I mean, it's tenants are difficult, and nobody likes keeping their security deposit. And then we're in the middle. So we're, we got to justify to the owner, justify to the tenant, and kind of just be the middle person that's fair to everybody, right, within legal realm. So sometimes, you get yelled at, right? Everything's your fault. If they can't pay their rent, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez.
You get a backbone after a while, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any tips or tactics for selecting just quality tenants?
I typically go on credit. So if you can't pay your TELUS bill, if you have bad credit, if your credit utilization's, hovering past 65% or whatever, then it's kind of a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So typical for qualifying, I guess, for a mortgage to a certain degree, and then character. Because I mean, if you're going to call past references, unless they're a licensed property manager, licensed agent, you don't know if you're talking to their cousin, their brother, giving a great reference. So I just find for me with that, it's not accurate. So I go on credit and then obviously employment, right? Credit, employment, character.
Yeah.
I think you guys use for lending, like the 5 C's.
That's exactly
so
it.
very similar. Yeah. Very similar to that. So yeah. And that's it. Just screening them. Like we typically, I think this month we've had maybe 23 unpaid rents out of like almost 700, right? So the percentile is quite low.
And do you see that historically, like everything that went on with COVID and unemployment and that, like do you see, because I'm assuming you have pretty good data and insights on rents not being paid, like do you see any trends as of late in Calgary, or where are you?
Not COVID a little bit. So typically what happens is our system will generate an automatic email saying, hey, your rent's not paid. Then the property manager will reach out to the tenants, on the second or the third, and then we'll post eviction. Even if they say they're going to pay rent, we always post eviction just in case, because can't go on, people's work per se, right? But then what we do is try to work with them. We have a list, like we have a resource list in Calgary where, if their utilities are going to be cut off, if they need help with their groceries, if they need help with security deposits, evictions, that'll work with them. So it's a 3-page document. And most of the time they will work with the people if they're willing to take the effort to spend a half a day, like anything else, going downtown or, going to Cups or wherever, right? But then they'll send us a check for $2-3 grand. And then sometimes they just need that 1 month help, right? To get caught up. So we definitely try to work with them, make payment plans. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we do work for the owner. So we do what's, best for them with our contractual obligations. But typically they pay their rent on time because they know we don't mess around. So
I would say though that it has gotten a little bit worse in the last 6 to 8 months, that we're seeing more people that can't afford
The high
Calgary.
rents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I feel like there's that group of people who went into luxury buildings not necessarily knowing what
What
was coming, and now
Yeah.
it's
well, and then everything, just utilities, insurance, cost of living,
Yeah.
right?
So much
So
more.
everything's gone up quite a bit. So,
Mhm.
yep.
I know you touched on you grew like double, triple over the past few years.
Mhm.
Are you able to touch on some of the challenges of growing that fast? Because that seems like some pretty staggering growth.
Challenges. Well, I think everything's trial and error too, right? You learn kind of through your mistakes. So I've been doing it quite a while. So hopefully I don't have too many more mistakes to make, but just a lot of work. It's just a lot of work, right?
Mhm.
It's a lot of different hats, especially if you're the owner. You got to do marketing, you got to do accounting, you got to do, lease agent, property manager, and then you're going to court. So there's a lot of different hats, which is a pretty big challenge. I have ADHD, so luckily I'm kind of good with
Yeah.
jumping all over the place, right?
most entrepreneurs are.
Yeah. So I think that's a challenge. And then finding reliable people. So, you're letting them free. You kind of build your little baby and then you're letting them free with your babies. You're like, what are you doing behind my back? Right. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you following policy and procedures? So just kind of keeping everybody in line and making sure that everything's running properly like that.
Yeah. Do you have any, and then touching on that, like, do you have any key learnings, either from going to court or learning Jen's point there? I've been guilty in the past of just doing a massive check mark and going all the way down on my move out especially. So
Yeah, it has to be very precise for sure.
I think you learn from every hearing I've been to, I learned something
Yeah.
new because they're all so unique in their own ways. And some of them I've had, like the other side has legal counsel. So you learn a lot from those as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the more I do it, the more I think I know from them.
Trial and error for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, just learning. And then I have a legal background too, so then that helps as well, right?
That would definitely quite help. Yeah.
We have
Makes a
we
difference.
have checklists on everything too, so it's very okay. You can open it and okay, this, and this, and then kind of what you need, right? Some of the tricks with the justices that you can do to get them sped up a little bit. Other than that, it's kind of a roll of the dice, right? So.
Have there been any days where you're just like, hey, this is too much? I think I'm just gonna call it in. And then how did you overcome that?
Just like
Those
every day.
days where you're just pulling your hair out.
Yeah. Daily?
Yeah.
I tell myself, we're going to put on a big girl panties, pull them up, and let's go. We got to deal with this. Self-talk, I think that's probably the biggest one. And then obviously we can relate to each other too, right? So I think we kind of, kind of vent to each other a little bit, like within like VIP and like all of us, right? So, but I think, I think any job, like I've done this so long for 20 years that it's just, if there's not a problem, I don't know. Like I'm just so used to waking up, working, going to bed, working, right? My counselor probably says that's a problem, right? She's like, you got a problem. That's not what you do the first thing you wake up. And I'm like, it is what I do. I don't know. Just used to it, right? So I think it's just a lifestyle that you get used to. It's definitely not, if you want 9 to 5, this is not for you. Right?
Yeah. As we said, the
Like I was saying Friday, I got a call 11 o'clock. Somebody lit a couch downtown on fire right on the 3rd floor. So it's the police, fire department. And, I was in Edmonton showing for buyers. So I was in the city. So stuff like that. You definitely need to always kind of be available, which is a lot for some people. So that work-life balance really isn't there. So self-care in between, right?
So when you're hiring, then how do you explain to them kind of like, are you ready to sign your life away? As like, I remember when I first started bartending years ago, they're like, sign right here to give your life away.
Yeah,
It's kind of
the
the same notion.
Yours.
Yeah.
I think that anybody that gets into it, it's just a learned thing.
Yeah.
Is there
Right.
something in specific you look for someone who's going to be a successful property manager?
I would say personality. You have to be outgoing, right? You have to be outgoing. You have to have a backbone. You really need to, right? Like you do get abused a lot in this industry. Not just from tenants, owners, like just everybody all the way around. So that's unfortunate. You can't really, Perfect example, like my first eviction that I did probably like 15 years ago, I was so upset because it was a family and I went home and I was really upset. It really, really bothered me. Couldn't sleep all night. And now I'm just, you know what? It is what it is. We'll go to court. The bailiff will drag you out. Like you have to pay your rent. And that's it. So it toughens you up, right?
Like
So you definitely
disconnecting
have to
from-
be.
Yeah.
you have to.
definitely have
Because
to be
you're
tough.
there like ultimately to do a business, right?
Yeah.
As much as you might be friendly with the tenants and stuff,
Yeah.
ultimately, like this is how things go. We all pay our bills. We
Yeah.
expect you to pay your bills, and if you let them take advantage of you, they will. So you just have to put those boundaries up.
So it's hard too, because sometimes you got to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but
Firm. Yeah.
Strong,
but
firm.
you do, right? Like you definitely, because you will get walked all over. So that's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And they have to have a real estate license, of course.
Yes.
Property management license. But
And so when things go wrong or if trades need to come in, like do you have internal trades or preferred contractors? What does that kind of look like?
yeah, we have approved contractors.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody they're only allowed to use the approved contractors. Obviously, WCB, liability, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the tenants would just be able to, like, they reach out to you and you coordinate with the contractor?
Yeah. They go in their portal and they do a maintenance request.
Mm-hmm.
So then it'll hit their account. It'll hit the property manager's service request as well. And then we can go and just click on it, fill in emergency vendor. And then it just fires off the PO to the vendor with the tenant's information and all that in there.
Oh, amazing. So the tenant doesn't even contact the service. It
No.
just goes through that portal directly to them.
They, like Jen said, like a lot of my tenants, like they're older tenants too. Like some of them I've had for 15, 16 years. So the guy last night, and he's in his 50s, and I feel like, hey, you got to go in Leighton and go on your maintenance. Like he's just so used to, remember Leighton, right? He's just so used to calling and texting and stuff. So them, I don't really bother too much. But the issue is you're driving, you're out, you're showing, people are calling, texting. It keeps it all in one place, right? Because the biggest thing is you're going to forget, right? Like you're running around in circles so much, right? That you tend to forget. So you have to have it organized. You just have to make sure it's tracked. Tracking is, I think, one of the biggest things in property management.
Mm-hmm. And do you do like quarterly inspections or what does that kind of look like? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going in there, is there anything specific you're looking for, or like what are you really paying attention to see?
One of the biggest is if furnace filters, humidifier filters, that kind of stuff, smoke detectors.
All the big tickets.
Tenants forget,
And
right?
the general
Tenants
condition
forget.
of the unit.
So so we got to make sure that we go in and, especially for warranty issues, if it's new builds and whatnot, right? So if they have pets and stuff, that's something that tenants seem to forget. And I mean, a dirty furnace filter will affect their whole mechanism of your furnace, right? It's no different than a car. So say, well, I didn't know. Well, you change your furnace filter in your car. Yeah. Okay, well, if it gets plugged, what's going to happen? Right?
Yeah.
And it will shut the heat down.
Pull out the furnace filter and it's black, right? So yeah, stuff like that. So preventative maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
You just made me realize that for 4 years, I don't think I've. I just paused and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I've done it in my car. I'm terrible. I don't have winter tires on my car. I'm a mess. I'm a menace with that stuff. So no, I get it. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So
That's why we have checklists too, just so that we don't forget, right? I'm big on fire alarms because even the older houses, they just don't seem to check their batteries and stuff. And
I had a tenant call me once wondering where she was freaking out about a beep. And I was like, what is going on? Like, okay. Yeah. And she's like, I swear it's not the fire. I'm like, okay, come. It was the batteries. And I was like, it's a totally different sound. Like the panic, I was like, I don't know, maybe there's something on fire. And I was like, okay, it's your battery. We'll fix it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Touching on tenants, are you able to share like maybe your one of each, like worst tenant story?
Sure.
I always love hearing.
They're my favorite.
Anyway,
I'll take 3.
Or if you want like 2, 3 each.
Let's talk about Forest Lawn. So I'll tell you a tenant that I had in Forest Lawn. We don't take a lot of properties in Forest Lawn these days, but it was for one of my buyers. So typically if I act on as buyer's agent, I will manage it, even if it is maybe not the greatest neighborhood in Calgary. So we had a tenant who's an older lady in her 60s. Her boyfriend was a pastor, right? Looked great on paper. They turned out to be the worst tenants. I'm not sure if she was doing meth or crack or fentanyl or what it was, but she would call me all hours of the night. And it was just like next level because she made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Oh.
And then the neighbors called because then there was like open rounds. They were shooting inside the unit. It was a 4-plex, right? So the neighbor called because they actually shot through her unit, through her stairs. And she's like, you got to fix my stairs. I'm like, what do you mean there's bullets going through the walls? Did you call the police? They had a puppy mill in the basement. And it was just these 2 senior people that are like kind of your same scenario, sweeter than pie. And then they turn out to be drug addicts. And it was just unreal. So yeah, you walk into that and it's kind of like the pictures I showed you earlier. It's a bit of a mess, right?
I don't think I was prepared for that one. I've seen a lot and I can't say that I've seen that before. I
think it's unfortunate with like, just with COVID and I think just like the opioid pandemic and everything going on too, is that I find you do get like from some tenants, like, they're under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and then they will like extremely abuse you all night long. So I just block them. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this.
What do you do when you see a tenant starts going that way? You of course have to bring it up to because it's not like you said, you didn't think that they were going to be like that. And then at what point do you kind of
they can change so fast too is the thing, right? With COVID, a lot of people were isolated. So I think a lot of people started getting, bored or getting into drugs. And I mean, with the type of drugs they are, you can get addicted so fast. Like you can have a decent person that can turn sideways within the matter of, a couple months, which is, it's sad and unfortunate. We try to get them out as soon as possible. Do lots of inspections. If there's any kind of drugs, alcohol, or police involvement, then we can go get an emergency order and then have the bailiff remove them. Typically with 72 hours, it's a little bit harder to get it done. You got to have that bailiff order. The city police can't do much but keep the peace. But yeah, as soon as they start going sideways, you got to get them out.
Yeah. Well, top that one. I'm excited. That was number one.
Popcorn, please.
We could be here for hours. We should just do a podcast.
You could do so many podcasts about just terror tenants, like how they have those murder mysteries now. It's insane.
Yeah. I've had people pass away, be shot, died, murdered, overdose, suicide.
Well, there's one so Val actually had to get involved with this because this is in the beginning of my property management experience. And we had a tenant that moved in, really like great neighborhood, brand new upscale neighborhood, moved in with her boyfriend and her son. And somehow, so we always get confirmation when they're moving in, if they're moving in, because we like, especially when it was super busy in the market, we'd have people that would like apply and move in like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
So then our offices are closed over the weekend. So I just get a screenshot of their transfer to us and we'd be good to go. Well, this girl somehow retracted her transfer. So then it comes to our alert, like there's no security deposit paid. Her rent was paid, but no security deposit. Weird. We reach out to her. She ends up paying it, but then the rent time rolls around again and she's not paid. So the first thing I do is get on the phone with them. I send them a text or I get on a phone call. Hey, what's happening? Your rent's up. Like, you're on my delinquency list. What is the story? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you mind? Because we had a chat when she was moving in that she used to live in the same neighborhood as me. So she said, do you mind if we meet at the bank by your house? I was like, okay, sure. That works for me. Like, she's like, I'll give you the money. Something's wrong with my bank accounts. Okay, yeah, no problem. Like, the bank's across the street. Not an inconvenience to me. So I go to meet her at the bank. She's like, yeah, I'm at the bank. I'm getting it now. I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I sat in the parking lot, waiting patiently. She's like, sorry, just in the back. They're just sorting things out. Okay, no problem. Some time goes by. I'm like, let me just go walk inside. There's nobody in the bank. Like the tellers, but no customers. I'm like, okay, well, she said she was in the back. So I'm like, my spidey senses are up. So I go to the teller and I'm like, so I'm supposed to be meeting somebody here. She's in the back with an advisor. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, that's what she's telling me.
Excuse me.
So they're like, hey, give us a minute. They go back and there's like, yeah, there's nobody here. I'm like, okay. So now I'm calling her. I'm like, I just went in. They've confirmed you're not in this bank. She's like, no, I'm in the back. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. Like, I think I was in the middle of my son's football practices. I'm like, I have to go. I don't know what game you're playing. And she had been really like innocent up to that point. So this then spiraled, and long story short, she was doing drugs in the house. The boyfriend that moved in was actually her ex, and they just moved in, I guess maybe to see if they could repair things, but they're in separate rooms. He didn't know what was going on. Val and I go to the property. He is like, I didn't know any of this. I've been giving her my rent. I didn't know rent wasn't paid. So he moves out. He's like, I don't want to be part of it. He vacates. And then, so she's still outstanding this whole time. She ends up going on like, some sort of mom's group and finding this single mom that just had a baby, like an infant baby, gets her to move in because she's looking for a roommate. And now she's taking this girl's money. And so the girl was using her laptop one day and saw our messages coming up on her phone because it was a Mac. And so she reaches out to me and she's like, oh my God, this is what's happening. I live at this property. I've been giving her money. I don't know where it's going. And like, I need to know what's going on. And then she became our little spy inside the house. And she's sending me messages. She's like, look, I saw these messages coming through of her buying drugs, people coming to the house to pick up drugs. She's there with her infant baby. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so they get into a dispute. The mom with the infant baby ends up leaving. But she's like, can you help me get my stuff back? Now we have a court order and a bailiff order that's ready to go. We go to the house to see if she can get in to get her stuff. I'm knocking on the door. She's changed the lock. She's barricaded the windows and the door. And she calls the police and says, I'm trying to break in.
like with a security, like a hotel.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
my
So that
God.
you can't literally
You can't
get
get
in,
in.
right?
From the bank day to this point, how long is the...
I think it was about a month and a half. 'Cause
It
we
wasn't
kept
that
going-
long. We just kept going there
Yeah,
too. Like we just
like
we'll
going
make
there.
it very uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Oh
We'll
my
just keep going
God.
knocking on the door. Where's your
Wow.
rent? But she would say, "Come get the rent," and then we'd go
Yeah.
there,
And
and
then
then she'd be like, "There's something wrong with my account," and
well, and I think
Just
the
silly
first time
stuff.
you went to get the rent, she wasn't even there. But she was like, you can go in. And
Oh, it was on
the
the-
cash was just sitting on the stairs, like
Yeah.
just a wad of cash. And then in the end, so this is a upper and a lower suite. So there's a sweet lady in the basement, an older lady. And she just feels so bad for this girl.
I
So
forgot
she
about
lets her, so she's not allowed
Oh
in the property.
my God.
But
That's
she goes
worse.
back and she says, I have nowhere to stay. Can I please stay here? And Judy says, yes, come in, have a shower, get yourself warmed up. And as soon as she turns her back, I don't know how long they were there for, but she turns her back on her. She snags her keys and steals her car and lives in the car for like a week.
This is like a Netflix.
What
coming
in
out, I'm
the
sure.
world?
Like, oh, Jesus.
And so I had to relocate this poor old lady because she now has PTSD. She's so scared of her and the people that are coming to the property and like,
Oh, she was
Oh
terrified.
my
I can
I went in
imagine.
when she was gone the one night, and it was late at night, right? And she was like terrified. She's calling. I said, "It's just me. I'm upstairs." And
yeah.
yeah, she was
Oh my God.
terrified because I changed the lock so that she can come back.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think that's important to note too, the fact that you weren't just about getting that one out, but also about helping the other
safety
person
Yeah.
living
features,
there.
yeah.
I think a lot of property managers, when things are happening like that, they get so caught up in the crazy, they forget there's other people nearby
Yeah.
Yeah.
who are living there
Yeah.
and trying to also just live.
And she's
So-
still your tenant now, right?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
I just
You re-
moved her to a
this
different
is-
property.
Yeah.
Tears
She's
or
great.
something. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's good. Just the crazy lady upstairs on drugs.
Jesus, sounds like a never a dull moment.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's it.
It's definitely gotten worse since COVID, like that I've noticed anyways, like with the drug addictions and stuff like that, like the erratic behaviors. But
Mhm. So you're just staying completely away from Forest Lawn like that? Do you have areas that you just don't?
that was in a
accept?
like decent
That-
neighborhood in
Yeah,
the
that
south.
was like a brand
Yeah.
new
Yeah, you were
neighborhood.
saying that was like
Yeah.
a young couple, like looked everything
Yeah,
seemed
Yeah.
she checked out
Yeah.
and you
But I
know.
think we stay away from kind of the southeast.
Yeah.
It just seems to attract
Different,
a lower quality.
And it's just there's just so many problems all the time, police involvement
Mhm.
for, 10% of the rent. It's just sometimes it doesn't balance out, right? So when that whole kind of keeping everything organized, you can't, be in Forest Lawn every week because someone's shut up a window or
Mhm.
or
I've had that
wall,
happen
or
once.
stairs,
too.
or
Pembroke. Shut up a window.
anything and
Pembroke.
everything, whatever you walk by.
Smoking meth in the shed and burned down the Canada Post box, and that's my fault too.
Yeah, I love that it's never like it's always you guys.
Like, burnt not only the shed, the fence, but the Canada Post box. What the heck was going on in there?
Yeah, that's gonna be a
They're
hot
using
fire.
propane.
Yeah.
Those are
Big
metal
fire.
boxes.
So that
Yeah.
one, yeah,
Jeez.
Oh my God.
doesn't happen very often, but yeah, that was probably about 15 years ago. And the bailiff actually physically dragged them out of the house. That was probably the roughest I've seen. Like one of the bailiffs get really physical, and I was like, I'm out.
Getting serious.
Wow. Any other tips you recommend just for maintaining the unit in terms of like, do you have a specific appliances that you recommend, flooring, like anything in order to just where real estate investors should overinvest in order to ensure the longevity of the unit stays in good condition?
I think vinyl plank is probably one of the biggest things. Like I would say, no go to carpet.
Mhm.
It was.
No go to carpet. Yeah, vinyl plank. I mean, appliances. You can get top of the line, but it just has to gear on the rental, right? So we typically will get them fixed, or we get a deal from the brick and stuff. So we try to keep expenses down. But if you get a $5,000 fridge or a $1,000 fridge, is it going to make that much of a difference in the rent or the longevity of it? I don't know. Depends on the property, right?
And the tenant,
Mhm.
how they respect their
Yeah.
property.
Mm-hmm.
And how does it work with the real estate investor? Like, are you taking a percentage off of the rent, or does the person who's
Yeah.
hiring your services, they pay that after, or what does that kind of look like, and how do you?
No, we
structure
take
it?
our fee,
Mhm.
GST, and then any invoices applicable, and then deposit the remainder into their account.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we do full accounting for them, obviously, right?
Mhm.
Oh wow. So,
So at the end of the year, they get
It's a
the
one-stop,
year end.
yeah.
Yeah.
that was something I find interesting too. What do you consider the difference between just a property management company and a full service? Like when you say full service, because I think a lot of a lot of real estate investors kind of don't know where to turn to, and they want a cheap
Yeah.
option that saves them money, but
Yeah.
there is something different about full service. So what would you say that is?
So full service is, it depends on the brokerage. So VIP has a real estate brokerage and then a condo brokerage. So I have a brokerage license for condos, brokerage license for residential. And full service just means that we can do sales, we do management, we do commercial, rural. So yeah, so it depends on, like, a lot of, let's say, bigger outfits won't do property management, they'll just do sales. So if you want to sell a property and possibly rent it out at the same time, you have to be under contract with a property management company and, let's say, a Remax or whoever, right? Whichever company. So this way here, you're only under one contract with one company, we're able to do it 360, right? So a lot of the times the buyer's agents, we can purchase your property for you, act as your buyer's agent, and then turn and be your property manager. So it's one-stop shop, right? Opposed to hiring multiple people.
Yeah, and even someone who bought it first, but came to you guys a property manager and says, I want more, and can use you guys then moving forward.
Yeah. And then lots of times they use this in the end, which is more convenient for them because we already have a relationship with the tenants, instead of them bringing a third-party realtor, and it can cause problems. It makes it
they
more
just won't
messy.
answer the phone or they won't show.
Like they're not
It's
comfortable
just
with the realtor.
it's smoother to do it with us, right?
Well, when everyone feels comfortable and there's kind of a full circle there of this makes sense.
Yeah, because if you had a third party kind of, stranger per se, then it's just with us, they have that. Once somebody has that relationship with you, they're gonna be like, yeah, it's okay, Val. Like, short notice, no problem, let them in, right? So it's just makes everyone's life a lot easier.
And is there a certain fee structure for like move in, move out, like a monthly fee, or what does that kind of look like for property
for
management?
owners? Or
yeah, like if I was gonna, I have, say, a few properties, I want to hire you for, say, 5 units. Is there a certain fee structure if you have like 10 units, 15 units?
It's negotiable. Every contract's negotiable. So typically it's 10% of the rent is what we charge. We don't charge for the move-ins and move-outs. There's a leasing fee that we charge, which is $650. So with that includes screening tenants, advertising, pulling credit, verification of utilities, insurance, whatnot, moving them in, and then the 10% going forward is to manage it monthly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Some companies will charge like an admin fee or a move-in, move-out fee, but we just kind of, our contracts are 3 pages, layman's
Keep it
terms.
simple. That's what
I think investors are exhausted, like after the analyzers and the Excel sheets. At a certain point, like, stop giving me things, please.
And the act supersedes it'll supersede contract law anyhow, right? So you can write whatever you want to your blue in the face.
Yeah,
the act's going to supersede anyway. So I try to keep it simple so that people can just look at it without having to go see their lawyer or get overwhelmed and like, what's all this small print, right? We don't sneak in little fees. Like, what you see is what you get. There's no hidden fees. No, we're not going to charge an admin fee. No, we're not going to charge an inspection fee. This is the lease fee. This is the monthly rent, and that's it.
I think that's super important nowadays because there's just so many hidden fees and admin fees and discharge, and there's just the fees go on and on and on. And what's advertised, it makes me personally, so it's one of my pet peeves.
I've seen 12 pages and I'm just like, and I have a legal background. I'm just like, how does the average person even understand what half this stuff means? Like, they don't, right? So yeah, try to keep it simple for people.
What does the future kind of look like for VIP? Do you have any goals, targets? Are you gonna focus on Alberta?
I think we will start franchising out soon. We're just kind of getting our feet in the ground with that. So like I said, we opened up in Edmonton, so probably start maybe possibly getting into franchising. Definitely want to build the condo side up a little bit more and get Jennifer going on that. Jennifer, that's her forte.
Baby.
Yeah. I just made her do the residential. I can't wait till I get back these 200 properties. I'm like, no, not yet.
Condos are much simpler than property management.
And I'm opposite. Like, I don't like condos. I rather do residential.
They're different. So, it's not even just simple. They're just totally different.
They are totally different. It depends on your personality, right? So that's where it's good because Jen's like, I'll do condos all day long. And I'm like, and I'll do the residential. I don't care. Just what we're both used to, right? It's just what we're accustomed to. So
any advice that you give to a newer real estate investor who's going to be managing their first property of what you wish you knew first starting out?
I would say don't start with the condo property. That's what I would
love to receive that years ago. But I agree.
No, well, because there's so many expenses that you don't. First of all, you have condo fees on top of your rent, so your profit margin is not. I'm sure it's not great.
Yeah.
And then you never know when a special assessment's coming. Plus, there's a crap ton of rules, and tenants they don't respect that, and then the owners end up with fines, and it's more.
Yeah, just more hands in the
You're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I would say up and down is definitely with 2 suites. That's probably where you'd want to gear to.
Mm-hmm.
2 suites or 4 suites. And then that way you just have to look at your cap rate. That's what it boils down to at the end of it, right? Just looking at your cap rate. Make sure you have room for error, right? With, what's going to happen with Trump. So, for taxes, insurance stuff, that's going to go up. Just make sure you're not like too close to your budget, right? Because there's a lot of investors that have invested, not through us, but they come to us with management after the fact. And they're belly up $500 a month. I'm like, you can't make money that way, right?
Yeah.
So just make sure that you have a good agent from the get-go that has property management background that you can actually trust. That's going to say, okay, you can get $2,500 a month and you can get it. Not, oh, now I'm at a property manager with property manager and they're saying $1,800, because that'll throw all your figures off, right? If you don't get a proper performer from the get-go, from somebody that actually knows the market and does it day in and day out.
Mm-hmm. Any projections of where you see Calgary kind of headed in terms of rents for, say, this year or going into summer? I know there's been a kind of a decrease.
The media says 7.8, but I would say it's probably closer to like 13, 14. So places we were getting 2,500 for, we're now getting about 1,950. So from last spring till now. So I think the builders kind of went crazy and they built a lot of out of town investors. So we went from having like not any vacancies to too much vacancies, which will decrease the amount, right? Because when we put an ad up, we'd have like 60, 70 calls. And now it's like, you actually got to start calling people back and, push them here, come to the showing, where before there'd be literally people lined up, right? Or sight unseen, I'll just rent it.
Yeah.
So I think that we'll have to see what happens. Interest rates are going down. It's hard to say.
Have you had to change the way that you market to tenants now that this is happening? Is there anything that you've had to do differently or?
Incentives, yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks free rent or,
internet, like 3 months free.
Yeah, just kind of incentives.
I mean, everyone's even in Toronto, the new builds, they're doing 2 months free rent in luxury buildings. So it's like, everyone is starting to,
you definitely have to, when the market decreases.
Inventory levels are crazy, like compared to when I first got into it until now. I think last time I checked, it was like 8,000 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And like Val said before, you could put your ad up and do one showing and have it rented out like immediately. I have done showings where I literally had a line up down the hall and I was like, this is awkward.
Because you don't know, half of them usually don't show up, right? So you kind of like, I do mine in 10, 15-minute increments when I show. Yeah. So I'll get like 6 or 7 people. So when I'm going, I'm like back to back and then hopefully get a doctor's office just lined up. Exactly. So when they all show up, it's like, oh, you actually all showed up. Wow. Yeah. Your turn.
Just hold on here for one moment, please.
Yeah. I think a lot of like the older like baby boomers too, I think that they're selling and maybe moving to smaller town Alberta or wherever in Canada or wherever. Just because the price, like for example, Saskatchewan, you get yourself a decent house there for 200,000, where you can sell your house here for 6. So your house here for 6 can get there for 2. So you can retire very happily with that, $400,000, and they're not working. They don't need to have to commute, as long as there's hospitals and stuff. So I think that possibly is kind of what's happening too as well.
I've had a lot of tenants actually leave, and some of my condo owners leave Calgary just because they're too expensive, too quick. And she's right. Edmonton seems to be that next
there seems to be a lot of people moving to Edmonton.
Still.
Well, it's great that you guys are there now.
Sort of deal on a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo for like 90,000.
Wow. In Edmonton?
In Edmonton, and it'll rent out for about 1,500.
I'm from Toronto, so those are numbers that like compute. You can buy a shoe in Toronto. It's nuts.
You can't buy a shoebox. I'm actually from Sudbury. My dad used to work in Mississauga. So I'm always like checking out real estate, but even like rural, my Lake Nipissing, I think.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of family out there on the lake, and it's like, a couple years ago, I'm like, maybe I'll buy something there. Now it's like tripled. I'm like, forget it. I'm not paying $500,000 to travel 3,600 kilometers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you have a lot of investors who are from Ontario, and renting?
We work a lot of Toronto
here,
and the GTA area. Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Realtor friends and just referrals and stuff like that.
And what do you find? I mean, the 2-hour time difference doesn't seem like a lot until I have to come here and experience it. But how does it work then with your investors? Do you find that it's easy to communicate with them? Or
yeah, that's fine. Like we have clients, Saudi Arabia, all over, right? We just figure it out.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
The time frame's definitely different,
right?
Literally night and day. It's just like, good night, good morning.
That's great. So you guys work with people everywhere.
Oh,
it's not just.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a lot of non-residents too. So then we do the non-residents for CRA and stuff like that, which helps when you have an agent. It's a little bit more simple, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything that we didn't touch on that you think would be good to go over? Or any other tenant stories?
Those will take.
I'll take a couple more of those.
I don't know how the topics are there.
I think personally that investors need to just pay attention to the market. Like if you want the best value out of your rental property, you have to know when to get rid of it too, and paying attention to the market.
Yeah.
Both sides of it, right? The rental and the sales.
You need to trust your agent and property manager. And experience does help, right? So, I mean, I can have somebody call and say, here's my house, here's where it's located. And I can tell them, ballpark off the top of my head, this is rental, this is sales. I go to Edmonton and I'm like, I have no clue. They're like, is this a bad area? I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking up like crime maps and stuff like that, right? So I literally have a map in my office at home that I'm outlining, right? Okay, this is Belvedere, bad, red line. Because otherwise I have to be honest and say, I don't know, right? Because I've had that happen before too, where people have called me to manage their property. Guy from Toronto, and then he ended up getting sick, or his mom, so he wanted me to rent it out. And I'm like, this is a great unit, absolutely gorgeous unit, but you are in 8th Avenue in Pembroke, or Forest Lawn, Pembroke area. Yeah. This is not the greatest area in Calgary. For me to rent it out, it's hard. Like the guy next door just got shot. Like it's tough. We ended up selling it, and can't talk about other agents, but the thing is that if someone's calling you from out of town, it's your due diligence to say, hey, listen, this is a great property. It shows well online, but this is where it's located, right? So I think trusting your agent, experience, just full service all the way around.
Well, that's what's great about you guys is having knowledge on both ends. Because when you choose one or the other, they're great at their jobs, but there's more than just. There's more, right? Especially for investors, there's a lot more than that.
You're only going to spend $500,000 buying a house. It's no big deal, right?
Just
sign whatever you want and trust everybody, right? So definitely look at the fine print.
Yeah.
Or have an agent that you trust that can do it for you. And I think that's the biggest thing is we don't typically advertise too much. It's basically all referral, right? Hey, I got your number from. And I think just providing that kind of service is just can't fail, right? If you provide good service to people, you're gonna make it. So
exactly.
That's awesome.
If people are interested in learning more, getting in touch, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Just probably via our website. Yeah. VIP Realty and Management.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. Learned a lot. Heard some great stories. I'm sure there's plenty more, but
we'll come back and just do a whole 1 on 10.
I love that. Yeah, I'm here for that.
But we haven't been running around with month end. We might have some more next week.
Mid-month, we just do a full rental download.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Download. Yeah,
I definitely have a few more good ones, but save those for next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Valerie, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks for having
us. Really
us.
appreciate you coming in, and this was awesome.
Awesome meeting you guys.
Yeah, you too.
That wraps up another episode of the Real Estate and Wealth Podcast. Be sure to hit that like button, share with fellow real estate enthusiasts, and subscribe to stay in the loop on all upcoming episodes. Get in touch with the team at Calvert Home Mortgage Investment Corporation by calling them at 1-888-752-4642 or email admin@chmic.ca. The opinions expressed in each episode belong to the individuals featured and do not represent the views of Calvert Home Mortgage. While we provide valuable insights, consulting with qualified professionals ensures that your unique financial circumstances are carefully considered, aligning your investments with your long-term objectives. Calvert Home Mortgage Investment Corporation is not a financial advisor, and we cannot advise you on making investments. There are risks to investing in real estate and the potential that you can lose all of your investment.